Alright, next question is, across the country, students are struggling with policies that create a school-to-prison pipeline. Many students are being pushed into the criminal justice system because of overly harsh school discipline policies. So what do you believe is the proper role for police officers in your schools? And should police officers be involved in school discipline policies?
So first, I just want to say there are 500 districts in the state of New Jersey, right? They all have CUSAC scores. Some CUSAC scores are lower than Newark's, but they're not taken over by the state. So don't let people make you believe that they're in Newark public schools because somehow we just don't know how to govern ourselves because we get bored. There are 500 districts that have scores lower than ours. So they took over this district because of added funding, right? To me, in terms of the question, there should be no police officers in these schools. I think the police should be on the outside of the schools, right? So, I've been in education for 20 years. I've been involved in every kind of conflict that may have taken place in the school, from gang fights to parents to issues that go from stealing to theft. I think that the police officer's job is outside of the school, on the streets. There are kids that are coming home and from school every day that are being robbed to and from school. The Safe Passageway to School program is more important. There are hundreds of kids that get robbed for their cell phones, get robbed for calculators, get busted over the head for bus tickets. And so we obviously apparently need police on the corridors to protect the kids as they go back and forth to school. At Central High School, at Nat Turner, park kids get robbed in there every day. We need police in the park, not in the hallways of the school.
You know, the safety of our young people is paramount. I don't believe we should have cops within the school, but we absolutely need our cops around our school. We have to have a partnership with the school district and our police department. This is an area we also have experience as an assistant attorney general for the state of New Jersey. We work with school districts throughout the state of New Jersey to make sure that additional supports were provided at some of our schools, and even some schools where there were significant histories of violent crime being perpetrated against young people. We even brought in the state police when we had to. And we have to have all options on the table because our streets are a war zone right now. The South Board in particular is really a disaster right now. We've seen murders go up by about 40% just the last 4 years in the South Board. There have been 38 murders in the South Board just this year. We have young people being shot and killed on the way home and coming home from Wheat Lake High School. So we need all hands on that. And in order to really produce better results, we're going to need some experience in City Hall on these issues. This is not an issue where we can afford on-the-job training, and I'm very blessed to have that experience. At the state level, I helped oversee a crime plan for the state, where we reduced violent crime 3 years in a row through prevention, enforcement, and reentry programs, because we know the best way to reduce crime over the long haul is invest in opportunity for our young people. After-school programs, developmental programs, but at the same time, we have to be aggressive with the drug activity, with the open-air drug markets that are replete throughout our city, and really work with our police in a really database and targeted way to go after those folks who are driving violent crime. But that requires technical experience in City Hall and dealing with the cops. That requires you to know what you're doing. This is not about a speech. This is not about a poem. You have to know what you're doing and execute each and every day to produce better results.
Well, was the question, what do we feel about police in the school?
Right.
Oh, all right, because I've got my whole campaign agenda here, but I think this is for the students and the direct questions that they ask. I think we ought to be disciplined enough to respond to those questions. I think when you have a police officer in the school and that student has to look at the police officer every single day, it creates a horrible image in that kid's mind and psyche that he is walking around in a police state. We, in this town, crime is off the hook. We don't have nearly enough police officers to deal with the criminals in the crime in the neighborhood. So every police officer that we can have available to us to chase down and lock up criminals outside of the schools, I think that is a proper deployment to have our police officers. I think there's coordination that should take place between Newark Police Department and the schools and the counties But the physical image, and to have a police officer in the school, I think it does two things. It robs us of resources that we need outside, and it sends the absolute wrong image to students who are in the classroom, in the schools. Schools are places where kids learn, not to be distracted by having to look at cops walking up and down the hall. So I think that's an improper use of the Norwood police officer.